I like this subject because I think it's going to divide opinion, and anything that's not clear cut is always good for debate, which is exactly what I want to do. I want to hear your opinions on it. I'm not entirely sure what my opinion is on it, but it was sent in by Andy because I requested single subject videos that I could do just to keep us busy in the international break. And to be fair to Andy, he suggested this after the Bournemouth game before the Crystal Palace game. And it's whether or not we should offer Manuel Pellegrini a new contract now. I think there was some suggestion that maybe the club is stalling. Maybe the club should have already offered him a new contract. And this is where I think it's going to divide opinion. And before we discuss it, we need to look at exactly the situation contractually that Pellegrini finds himself in. He has the rest of this current season, and he still is contracted to the season after. The contract was for 3 seasons, or well, that was my understanding of it anyway. So it's not really about whether you think he should be offered an extension at the end of his contract or he should go now or anything. It's should he be offered an extension now in what has more than a season and a half left to run. I think it's quite important that we look at the landscape before Pellegrini was brought in and why Pellegrini was brought in. We'd finished 13th under David Moyes, which I'll tell you, I'll edit. I'll flash. Don't worry, I'm not going to do that. I'll do is I'll edit in the league standings for the last 2 or 3 seasons, and we'll see where we are. But under Moyes, we finished 13th. But I think it's fair to say it didn't feel like 13th. It was a bad season. It was a rescue mission, wasn't it? He was brought in to steady the ship and to bring us to safety. And I don't think too many people liked the football. The football wasn't great. It was quite boring. We didn't attack much, but he did his job, David Moyes. I do believe, I've always been of the mindset that I think the owners would have kept David Moyes on had they have received a more favourable response from the West Ham fans. But you've got to remember that owners are very, very sensitive to how the West Ham fans are, particularly post-protest, pitch protest, pitch invasions, protest under the director's box. If you remember, Sullivan came out, I believe it might have been just before the Watford game in that season. And he came out and he said he was going to overhaul the scouting system. It was going to be, all going to be new, all sparkly, all shiny, all new, newfangled, new system, new coaches, new scouts. West Ham were going to do things differently in the way that they recruited players. So clearly he knew that something needed to be done. But I did get the impression in that point that he was telling the fans what they wanted to hear. But he seemed to be hinting that there was a long-term strategy going on. Bilic had to go, I think you'll all understand, which is why Moyes came in. But Moyes was never the long-term. Pellegrini very much was the long-term plan here. I think he'd approached him when he was in China. Sullivan had approached him in the winter transfer window and said, do you fancy coming? I think they had a verbal agreement that Pellegrini would come. And Pellegrini arrived. Now, when Pellegrini arrived, he was on big bucks. He's on big money. Thinking about it, reading between the lines, and we don't know anybody's wages, but we know that Pellegrini is in between 8 and 10 million a year, which is massive. Klopp, of course, will earn more. Guardiola will earn more. Pochettino will earn more. Emery might. Emery's on 8 million a year, so it really depends whether you believe that Pellegrini's on 8 or 10 million. But regardless of the nuance and the fine detail, I think it's quite clear that Pellegrini is certainly one of the top 6, possibly one of the top 4 paid managers in the country at the moment. So he's been brought in to deliver, I think, top 6 or top 4. Now, I think my own personal opinion on it is I always said I would like Pellegrini to see 4 transfer windows to really see what he's doing. People are too quick these days to hire and fire. Watford's far too trigger happy for my liking, and look where he's got them. So I'd like 4 windows. So we've had the first transfer window. He's had a winter one. Then he's had his most recent one, of course, where he's brought Sebastian Haller and Fornals in. I would like to see another good window, as it were. And when I say another good window, I don't necessarily mean the winter one. If we're not going to buy anyone in the winter, then I wouldn't class that as such. I want to see, after the next summer window, I want to see the makeup of his squad. I want to see his ideas, because when he first started, I felt that I knew exactly what Pellegrini was trying to do in terms of the system he was trying to play, in terms of the style of football he was trying to play, and what he was trying to implement. This season's a little bit different. I'm not quite so sure what he's doing. He certainly seems a little bit more rigid. So maybe in terms of shape, in terms of the formation, I'm more sure. But I don't know what. I do wonder if he's reacted to the fact that we conceded so many goals earlier on in the season, kept things tight at the back, and we then went on to keep, 4 clean sheets, something like that. I wonder if he changed his ethos slightly and he's gone slightly more defensive. But I don't feel a lot of the time that we have an abundance of attackers on the pitch. So that, for me, when I sort of bought into the Pellegrini ethos, I thought it was going to be lots of attacking, lots of swashbuckling football. And I think we've seen a better brand of football. We've only got to look at the goal against Crystal Palace to see that. It's been replayed. Sky Sports News have packaged it up and called it a world-class goal, and it was a lovely flowing passing move, and it was a beautiful move. And they are, when they come off, they're wonderful, those moves. They don't always come off because there's a lot of opportunities to cut that goal out. If you're doing a 20-odd pass move, then it can be at any point. That's why you don't see many of them. And I just wonder what his ethos is now. So I think at the moment, for me, I wouldn't offer him a new deal now. And again, I don't want people to think I'm saying get rid of him. I'm not. I want him to have another window. But I think he has to look like he's progressing each and every season. The Cup is a massive thing for me. Those of you that know, he's not taking the League Cup seriously. Certainly, I don't think he's taking the FA Cup seriously. Certainly based on our last FA Cup game, which was Wimbledon last year. I don't think he is. I don't think he's bothered. So basically, he's putting all his eggs in one basket, Pellegrini here. And what he's saying is, I am going to deliver you something in the league. Well, if he's basing it on the league, he's got to deliver, judged by his salary, judged by some of the wages that some of the players are on. He's got to be delivering top 6, really, hasn't he? He may well do this season. I'm certainly not going to say we're not going to do that based on a loss against Crystal Palace. And I think in many respects I was going to wait to do this video after the Everton game, because I think it's much easier to look at it then, because I think it'll be more reflective. We go up to Everton, it seems very different. Lose to Everton, then we've got 1 point in 3 games. Again, it looks very different. But at the moment, I wouldn't be in a rush to offer Pellegrini a new contract. I don't think we necessarily need to tie him down. He has 18 months left on his contract, and Pellegrini is not a man, in recent years at least, that stays for a long time at these clubs. If he stays out his contract, he's done 3 years here. That's a long time for Pellegrini. And some people have mentioned his age. I don't think the age has got much to do with it. His faculties are intact. You've only got to look at Roy Hodgson. I think Roy Hodgson, who's doing tremendously well, I think Roy Hodgson's 71 or 72. He may well be 6-7 years older than Pellegrini. I'm not entirely sure, but I do think it's something like that. Well, obviously, we're all very sure. We know what Roy Hodgson is trying to do. We know his plan of action. We know the way he wants to play. And I think if we had Roy Hodgson at the helm, I wouldn't be particularly happy he was there, because I don't think I would quite like the brand of football. But I want to see a bit more from Pellegrini before I start saying, chuck him another 2-year deal. But I think Pellegrini needs to see a little bit more as well. And I do think, it's a bit of a different subject here, but it's on it as well. I don't think, the reason I want to see another transfer window, I don't think this is the final incarnation of his squad, so to speak. I think we've got another striker. I think we've got another striker coming in January, actually. And I do wonder whether Ajeti was his choice, or Julius' choice, or whose choice it was. But I think it's clear he doesn't fancy him. I should also point out, I did say on a previous video that he looked like he wasn't going to bring Ajeti on at all. Apparently, Ajeti was warming up. Not that it means a lot, but apparently he was warming up, and he was taking the bib off and all the rest of it in the Crystal Palace game, as somebody has mentioned. And it was really the Cresswell injury that forced that substitution for Zabaleta to come on. So maybe he was going to bring on Ajeti. Maybe he was going to go 4-4-2. I'd have loved to see it, because I want to see a little bit more than that, because if I had one thing that worries me at the moment, it is that we do sometimes play quite deep, and that Haller is I stated I do wonder how much we could get out of Haller if he was playing in a similar formation that he was in Frankfurt, where he had 2 guys next to him, very, very close to him all the time. We've got a world-class striker, I'm pretty sure of that. We've got a wonderful player on our hands, but I think he needs people to be a little bit closer to him. And I just wonder, there's either one or two reasons. Either Pellegrini doesn't want to do that because Pellegrini's tactics mean that he doesn't want to have anyone next to him, or Pellegrini doesn't feel that he has the necessary personnel to get close to him. So maybe he's waiting for that extra player. Maybe he's waiting for that one guy in his team who he is going to deploy and play next to Ajeti. Don't forget, next to Haller, sorry. Don't forget, we didn't do the Chicharito deal until very, very late. So that money wasn't factored in. There's a big surplus of wages. Our wage bill was significantly lower than it was last season. We got some money as well from Chicharito there. So I would expect a player to come in. Those are my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think. Don't go anywhere just yet, though. Don't go anywhere just yet, because I've got something else to say. And I'm sure many of you will know, mostly 90% of you will know, that when we were at the game, when we had the boats at the Crystal Palace game, somebody, and there was a very unfortunate circumstance, somebody had a heart attack, somebody had a cardiac arrest on the boats. Now, at the time, and I'm mindful to say this, at this time of recording this now, he is in a relatively stable condition. But it was very, very traumatic for those involved, no more so than obviously his family who weren't with him at the time. A lot of people acted, I don't want to give too much detail actually, but a lot of people acted very, very heroically and very bravely, and gave him, his name's Dan, and gave him a fighting chance they kept him going until the medics came along, basically. But we found ourselves in quite a strange situation down there, which was we've realised that we need a defibrillator down the boats, and it does open another question about the Olympic Park as a whole, and I don't really know what the situation is there, but it's something that we're going to be finding out about. So Gio has been working very, very hard because we're going to do a raffle. And we want to do it quick, and we're going to be drawing the raffle for the Newcastle game. And we want to do it quick because, quite frankly, we're already too late in many respects to get a defibrillator down there. The best time to get a defibrillator is last year. The second best time to get it is the next available opportunity. I don't want to wait until after Christmas. We want to get one done now. So Gio has set up an auction. He's already done really, really well at sorry, not an auction, a raffle. It's not an auction, it's a raffle. He's already done very, very well at getting some prizes. They're all listed on a link which will be in the description below. Please do go and click the link in the description below. Everything is going to be detailed there. It's a raffle. We've got some really good prizes going on because we want to get enough money to buy a defibrillator for the boat. You can follow us on Twitter, hammers_chat. Details will be on the forum, hammerschat.com. And of course, if you click underneath, the link will take you to our fundraising page. That's the serious stuff. And I mean, when I say our thoughts are with Dan, I mean they really are. We're trying to get as much information as we can. Myself and Gio are speaking 2-3 times a day about it. And I know our thoughts are with Dan and his family. Our conversations are constantly, and as I say, he's working very, very hard. We want to keep drumming up interest as well. So I'm doing a little sponsor thing. I'm going to make an arse of myself to try and drum up a little bit more interest. And so what I'm going to do is actually there's one bit of tomfoolery we're not going to reveal yet, which is going to happen on the day, because the raffle is going to be drawn on the day of the Newcastle game. But I am going to, from this very moment up until the Newcastle game, maybe beyond, I'm going to go grow a moustache. It doesn't finish there, by the way. A ridiculous moustache, if I can. It's been a long time since I've grown anything like that. But I'm going to grow a moustache, and I'm going to give regular updates. And I'm hoping that encourages people to buy a raffle ticket. The raffle's quite important because we want everybody to have a chance of winning the prizes, and we want everybody to be involved in this. So it's one ticket gets you one entry, you know, and that's it. And everything is detailed below. But also we want to keep the interest bubbling along. So at the Newcastle game, with my beautifully manicured moustache, which I'm not sure what I'm doing with it, I'm gonna go dressed in fancy dress to the game, and I'm gonna go dressed. I think I might give some choices out, but I think because I think it's gonna be quite cold, so I need a coat. And the one thing that came to me, I'm gonna go dressed as a Peaky Blinder with my newly cultivated facial hair. And not only am I gonna go as a Peaky Blinder, I'm gonna have to do the accent all day. I'm gonna have to remain in character all day. I'm gonna have to watch the game in character. We'll be doing a raffle on the boats, which I'm gonna have to do in character, and I'm gonna have to do all videos in character as a Peaky Blinder with as best Brummie accent as I can muster. A little bit of fun, because it's quite frankly been quite serious business, and there's still a lot of serious business left to go. But if we can have a little bit of interest, a little bit of fun along the way, and it helps with some fundraising, we can get this defibrillator, then that's what we're going to do. There also, and Gio was I'm not sure how much I should say or I can't say, so more details will follow on other videos. This is just more of an informal notification, particularly for those of you that are not on social media or have not seen any of this. There will be CPR classes given on the boats. Details to follow for anybody that wants to learn these vital techniques that, you know, kept Dan going. That clearly a few people on the boats had these skills to learn how to use a defibrillator, know how to administer CPR. We are, obviously for free, we are going to be just running some basic CPR first aid courses on there. Not us, it won't be me telling you or Gio telling you, by a trained medic, because these are just vital skills that everybody needs to learn. And it's not just all about the boat. The boat is the only place that we can control. But you know what? If 15 people come down and 15 people that didn't previously know before know how to learn how to administer CPR, then those are skills that you take into a wider environment and not just a boat. Hopefully no one ever has to use it. But it's a very, very useful skill, should you ever wish to do so or need to do so. That's about it. Anyway, I've been waffling on. Sorry, 10-minute video, as always, has become a 17-minute video. Anyway, that's the charity stuff. Let me know. That's the fundraising. It's for a defibrillator for the boat. Click the link below. But please do read the description, because it will tell you a lot of the detail, which I've not given you here and which we'll give you in future videos. Aside from that, I want to know what you think about Pellegrini. Should he be given a contract, or should he not be given a contract just yet? Do we wait? Do we give him one now? Time down with security. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Hopefully I've said what I think, but quite frankly, I seem to change my mind on an almost weekly basis.